Hello, my name is Ntanzi and welcome to the clan. So without further ado, let's get into this video. But before we get into the video, please smash me the like button because guys, it triggers the YouTube algorithm to go fetch us some more clan members. I want to welcome all the new clan members. You are officially an honorable clan member. Thank you so much for considering us. And if you are watching outside of being subscribed, please consider subscribing and become an honorable member of the clan. And please come with your 2 IQs because we're going to be rubbing them together and we will be sparking some sensibility about what's going on in the North Gauteng High Court in the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial. Speaking of which, I am going to be reading from a script because right now it is... my day has been busy. It's this time right now. It's 10:34. I don't know if you'll be able to see. It is 10:34. Of course, this video is going to come late. So in order for me not to also make it to drag too long, oh gosh, finally Sibanda is done. Finally, Sibanda is done wasting state's resources. But we'll talk about that as we continue with what transpired today. So I'm going to be reading from my script everything that I think you guys ought to know about what transpired in court today. What did we learn? What was a bombshell that was dropped? Hey, it was interesting. Anyways, let's start here. In the morning, as you remember, yesterday when the court adjourned, it was about a transcript that was going to be sent from Shabani Magistrates Court where Ntanzi had appeared and several things that had happened because Ntanzi could not remember if he was present or not present in this particular day, I think the 13th of July. By the way, just let you know, the next day, the 14th of July, is my birthday. Do what you will with it. Can somebody also, if you are pregnant and you are due in July, call your baby girl or boy clients. I feel a little alone. Thank you. I'm joking. I'm just joking. Anyways, let's get to this. So the transcript from Shabani Magistrates Court was submitted to court by Advocate Baloyi as Exhibit RR1. The defense was furnished with same and were also told of days in Shabani Magistrates Court where there were no dates or transcripts for that matter, proving that Ntanzi told the truth about some of the days when he'll be taken to Shabani Magistrates Court and he would not enter. Because remember, he would say when we get there, there are these danger tapes, as he calls them, the cordon off of the court because of Kororo. Then Mr. Ramosipili acknowledged receipt of the transcripts and confirmed to be told of the dates where no transcripts were available because there was no appearance. Furthermore, with the introduction of Exhibit RR1, Mr. Ramosipili requested the court for directive in respect of the fact that Ntanzi is a witness and is under oath and might be difficult to consult with him, but Judge Rata saw no problem with that. And then, of course, Ramosipili, when he heard from Rata that there will be no problem with him consulting with his client, and he asked for 30-minute adjournment, of which Rata granted it. So after the 30 minutes was over, Advocate Sibanda was ready to cross-examine or continue with his cross-examination of Ntanzi. He was looking all confident, like, yeah, I got you. However, Mr. Ramosipili stood to let the court know that there were some discrepancies on the new exhibit. There was 2 different dates of appearances, the 17th of August and the 20th, and the court adjourned again at 11 a.m. and the judge ordered that they return at 12 o'clock to verify the document and the 2 different dates. For me, that was the only exciting thing that happened in court, what transpired in the beginning. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. This is exciting. It's something different. It's giving us a break from Sibanda and his repetitions. And then the court returned with Sibanda once again in the hamster wheel, just spinning about. As Sibanda did what Sibanda does best, repetitions. Trying to trick Ntanzi into answering false evidence put to him by the state. We went back to the introduction of the Ntokozo Mjiyako, whom Ntanzi has denied for the past 4 days since Sibanda started examining him. Oh, this man knows how to go back. He will go forward and take 10 steps backwards, and then he will take half a step, and then takes a million steps backward. That's the only thing that was annoying the living daylight of me. Why don't you just finish this point and move on? That's because he's trying to exhaust, irritate, annoy, and get the witness on the stand upset so that he will end up being emotional. And once he's emotional, he will then start saying things that he's not supposed to say, but unoche with Ntanzi, because he was steadfast in his answers. So I say we went back to the introduction of Mjiyako, whom Ntanzi has denied for the past 4 days since Sibanda started cross-examining him. Ntanzi has been consistently asking who is Mjiyako and why the state keeps saying that he was his lawyer, when Ntanzi never called him, consulted with him, let alone spoke to any of his family members. And if he did, who told them that Ntanzi was arrested? Who called him from the family? Thus far, the state has been evasive about this Mjiyako, yet they kept trying to shove him down Ntanzi's throat, and Ntanzi refused to chew him and swallow him. Instead, he was spitting him off. Stubbornly, the state kept hammering at Ntanzi about this Mjiyako having represented him in several of his appearances. Mind you, this Mjiyako person was a director of some sort in the city of Johannesburg, moonlighting as a practicing attorney. The other thing that somebody said who works at the city of Johannesburg also has the same position as he does. They need to look at the diary of Mr. Mjiyako in 2020 when he was appearing in these court appearances. What did he state in the reason why he was not at the office? Was he going to committee meetings? Was he attending the boardroom meetings? Whatever it is that he gave reasons for his absence, the defense needs to go and check all of that. That way he will be caught that he's been moonlighting. And apparently it's not allowed. On the 6th of November 2020, Mjiyako approached Sergeant Mugano and his ilk and introduced himself as Bongani Ntanzi's legal representative. I kept imagining them when Mjiyako came to them and says, "What's up, guys? My name is Mjiyako. I am the legal representative of Bongani Ntanzi," and everybody just laughs because they knew what is up, right? The state forcefully tried to get Ntanzi to admit that he had hired Mjiyako as his legal representative. Ntanzi steadfastly denied ever meeting with Mjiyako, sought his services because how could he when his phone was taken by the police? In no certain terms, Ntanzi told the court that this is a blatant lie. Ntanzi said the first time he heard of this Mjiyako person was on the 24th in Boksburg. Then we moved to the issue of police stations. Oh my gosh. Sibanda just kept holding on to that dinosaur bone forever, like he always does. At the police station, Sibanda says that this Mjiyako person came to visit Ntanzi. I wonder which Ntanzi that is. That Mjiyako visited Ntanzi to consult. The state accusing Ntanzi of lying about names of police stations. Yet Ntanzi, since the day he took the stand under the evidence of his evidence in chief, he said he did not know the names of police stations that he would be taken to. He even said when he woke up from a police station, he didn't know if he was going to return to the same police station he slept at. It is clear that this was done deliberately to disorient him, so that when he is asked about these police stations, he will contradict himself, therefore making his testimony not credible. Just what Sibanda was trying to do by trying to force him to remember the names of the police stations. And yet Ntanzi kept saying that I do not know these police stations. I am not familiar with Johannesburg or Gauteng for that matter. Every time these police took me to a police station, it was always at night. So I could not be able to read what the police station's name was, let alone being with other people that are suspects in one cell where he could actually ask any of them if they knew what police station this was. He was never given all that opportunity. He was always isolated and he was brought at night. So how would he know the name of the police station? Ntanzi kept saying, I never said that I knew any of these police stations. Ntanzi also told the court that whenever he was brought to a police station, it was always at night. So he could not see or read the name of the police station. Plus, he was always alone. At least if he had other suspects, he would have asked them the name of the police stations respectively. But now we are all familiar with Sibanda's pattern, right? Holding on to a dry bone and Ntanzi standing his truth, which was a blow to the state's rebuttal. Ntanzi kept telling Sibanda that he did not know names of police stations, irrespective of his defense counsel mentioning the names of the police stations. Of course, the AVL would have shown Ngomezulu when Ntanzi says, I was taken to this police station on this particular day, to this police station on this particular day. All that Ngomezulu had to do was to look at the AVL and say, oh, okay, they took you from this police station in Pretoria, they went to Primrose with you. From Primrose, they took you to Valeria. From Valeria, they took you to Vosloorus, etc., and so on. And he is saying, me as Ntanzi, I don't know the names of these police stations. Out of the blue, Sibanda realizing that this stone is not producing any blood, guess what he does? He would resort to accusing Ntanzi of adjusting his story. And he would go as far as accusing Ntanzi of fabricating the new story, he would say, or new evidence. Once again, Ntanzi steadfastly, he told the court that he's telling the truth. When he says he does not know the names of the police stations, that's exactly what he's saying. So the reason why I'm doing this part, especially about the police station names, is because I want to demonstrate to you how Sibanda works, his modus operandi. He will hold on to something even though the answer has been given, he will still ask and continues to ask and continues to ask. And then you're looking at Judge Rata and you're like, sir, but the defense, if they did exactly what Sibanda is doing, you would have long time shut them down and told them to move for progress sake. The way he was so quiet, you would swear you heard a pin drop. So I continue to say, this is how Sibanda operates. He goes around in circles, hoping for his prey, the one with the E, to weaken so he can attack. If Sibanda was a predator in the jungle, he would have long died of starvation because his preying tactics are whack. This so-called exhibit QQ about police stations, Gininda denied ever visiting Ntanzi. But Ntanzi says he was there in those police stations. He was the boss in the Pretoria boardroom where he was the only one that was talking, and the late Mabena will be the examiner. Everyone else were quiet. Mabena, how you doing? So we all know that Gininda in the boardroom, he was asking Ntanzi about all sorts of questions about the gold tooth. If Ntanzi said he did not have a gold tooth, this is when Mabena made him go, and then he would look for the gold tooth. And then you ask him about the 28th. I don't know if it's a prison number or whatever it is that is going on there, and that he has a tattoo of a 28 on his shoulder. Then Ntanzi said, I've never had a tattoo on my shoulder. And this is when Mabena would strip him and examine to check this tattoo of the 28 or whatever the case is, and he says he was never there. So this is my little note that says, I kept thinking how fortunate Ntanzi is, and I'll tell you why I think so. Because the worst case scenario is that after Gininda and Ilk realizing that they may have the wrong person for the crime of killing Senzo Meyiwa, the fact that he could not open a case against them for all that they had done to him, to shut him up forever, they would have killed him. They would have deleted him. I think that thought may have crossed their minds. Now, the reason why Ntanzi is still alive, I think, is because the criminal justice system in this country never favors the poor and people that are unlearned. So why delete him? They knew that their colleagues were going to make the case go away. After all, Gininda is a general in the SAPS. I think brigadier is equivalent to a general, if I'm correct. Ntanzi continued to deny that he ever made a confession to Colonel Rapado and Cronje respectively. It's a lie. All that Gininda and his crew did was to force him to initial and sign papers that he had nothing to do with. Furthermore, Ntanzi said if he ever made a statement, he would confirm that he did. He would confirm that he did because he would have made it in isiZulu and the typist would have typed it in English. Now, none of that happened. Even myself as a Zulu person who I think has a good command of the English language, and if I had to make a police statement or some kind of a confession, I would definitely do it in isiZulu, and I'll tell you why. As a person who did English, and I've seen English kicking English speakers, I'm telling you, people that were born and sucked off the English language from their mothers, they still did not do well in English. Me as this black kid who did quite well in English, but I also understood that English is not easy. One word can be interpreted in many different ways, versus if it's in isiZulu. One word in isiZulu, you cannot interpret it and make any other meanings around it. So that is why I personally, as Clancis, would make my statements in isiZulu. If you're going to write it or interpret it in English, I would acknowledge what I said in isiZulu and I will repeat it in court in isiZulu, not in English when it's read to me. And now that the prosecutor or whoever is now interpreting words into what will suit them, I will say, no, I said this in isiZulu, please interpret that word or give another meaning to that word. It doesn't exist. Ntanzi further told the court that whatever is written on Exhibit JJ, the confession, it was not done according to his will. He was forced to sign. And he's been saying this forever. Then I say, neither I remind you of the rendezvous creature where Brigadier Gininda was found wanting in that trial within a trial. Bad habits do die the hard way. Sibanda then tried to corner Ntanzi about the 13th of August or something, that Mjiyako was at court to represent him. Here we are again, back to Mjiyako. And made some submissions to the court that Mjiyako had consulted with Ntanzi. Yes, I say we are back here once again. As a matter of fact, this is Sibanda's modus operandi. He always comes back like the devil you made a deal with. You can imagine what was Ntanzi's response. It's the same response that he's been saying since his evidence in chief. I do not know who Mjiyako is. I do not know who pays Mjiyako. I do not know how Mjiyako knew I was arrested. I do not know how Mjiyako knows of my court date. And yet my family never once knew that I was arrested up until the 13th of July 2020. Almost a month since he's been arrested. His family did not know where he was. Now, how this Mjiyako found out about him, this is the thing that he keeps saying. But no, Sibanda keeps coming back for more. The essence of Ntanzi's questions, which the state fails to prove who is Mjiyako and who paid him to represent him. This is why Sibanda wastes, this is why Sibanda wastes the court's time by having the court record played to court regarding Ntanzi's testimony. So there was a time when Ntanzi could not remember his appearance in Hlabane. And Sibanda was trying to trap him on something. Then Advocate Mnisi stood up and said, okay, then let's rather play the hindsight of that particular day in court that Ntanzi doesn't remember. So basically, Ntanzi maintains that whenever he was in Rustenburg, it's either when they got there, the courts were closed because they will be cordoned off with the danger tape. If it's not that, he would enter the courtroom but quickly be thrown out or maybe asked to leave. And he would not spend much time in court. He would return to the car. Sometimes the prosecutor will come to the car just to look at him that indeed he's there, and then he'll go back inside. How many times must Ntanzi say the same thing over and over and over again. That was a futile exercise because it still did not answer Ntanzi's questions about this Mjiako. Sibanda then had another dinosaur bone to play with. Court appearance of Ntanzi in Hlabane. Yeah, we're back to Hlabane again. Ntanzi stated clearly that when it comes to his court appearances in Rustenburg, he could not remember if he did go in or remained in the car. The ones he went in, he doesn't remember them, as that time was during Kororo, and those courts would be cordoned off with tapes. Not Sibanda relaxing on this dry bone. Rata himself, he was happy to watch the paint dry. Instead of telling Sibanda that the witness has already answered, let's move on, like he would tell the defense. If you are interested to hear how cruel this Mjiako is, not only cruel, but is evil, keep listening, because he's about to blow you out of the water if you're in the bathtub. I simply don't understand how evil one human being can be to another. It's not like Mjiako didn't know what was up. I sincerely hope that when Ntanzi starts his litigation process, all these people be brought to book, and may they suffer without mercy. Every one of these people, it doesn't matter what role you played, suffer. Anyway, Advocate Mnisi came to the rescue to have the recordings of the 9th of February listened and the court adjourned until 2 p.m. After 2 p.m., the court was listening to the tape, Ntanzi telling the court that he never saw Mjiako, and the 17th of August 2020 could not go in because of Kororo. Then Sibanda goes back to exhibit RR1, the transcript that was submitted this morning. The one that was submitted this morning, I say, the Hlabane Magistrates Court transcript of the 13th of July. Again, I remind you, the following day is my birthday, the 14th. Just saying. Do as you will. That was such a narcissistic thing to do, hey? Oh my gosh, don't forget about it. Sibanda reads the transcript to the court. Now, guys, I want you to imagine this. There's a court process that's going on, and the possibilities of Ntanzi not being present while this court process is happening is shocking to me. Shocking. However, Ntanzi says, I do remember on the 13th, I was taken inside court, but I was also quickly ordered out of court by the magistrate. But the part that got me confused is that the process inside of court continued without the suspect. How is that a fair trial? How is Section 35 of the Constitution adhered to? But anyways, let's continue. I say, imagine a whole court process is taking place without you in court to hear what is being said about you, including the opportunity to apply for bail. I felt like I was in a different country where the process of democracy is not observed. I kept wondering about the magistrate himself, why he didn't inquire about the accused's presence in court. I kept thinking about Ntanzi's Section 35 of the Constitution as Sibanda proudly went through this transcript. It couldn't have taken place in South Africa. I refuse. The part that gets me is the reason why he was not in court. Remember what his name said? He was sick. Ntanzi was sick. Ntanzi said, I was never sick. But also, in the transcript, it says he was in isolation due to Kororo. The Kororo excuse really worked for the wicked Gininda, for sure. Now the question is, how constitutional is a court of law process without the presence of the accused? It's not like during Kororo, virtual appearances were impossible. Why didn't they have Ntanzi virtually appear for his own court appearance? This does not make sense. That is, if I understood the transcript. So this Mjiako then addresses the court on behalf of Ntanzi, who asked about this man. Since the start of his testimony, his evidence in chief, he's been asking about this Mjiako that Sibanda keeps mentioning. Ntanzi's answers that he did not indeed enter the courtroom on the 13th of July 2020. He said that when he entered, some gentleman stood up wearing his court robe, wearing sunglasses and a face mask. He says another gentleman also stood up at the same time. The court wouldn't even allow me to raise my hand to address the court. Instead, I was instructed to leave the courtroom. Ntanzi then asked the court procedural question regarding him confirming if indeed the man that stands before the court is his legal representative. I thought that was such a smart thing for Ntanzi to ask in this court right now. Ntanzi asked why the magistrate didn't ask him about Mjiako, because that would have been his opportunity to tell the court that he does not know this man, that he has no legal representative. It was a good question, I say. Ntanzi even made an example of this court, Rata's court, that when the first time he came and Mr. Ramusipele and Advocate Mngomezulu told the court that they are his representative, Judge Rata had to look at Ntanzi and ask him if he knew who Mr. Ramusipele and Mngomezulu, and he confirmed to Judge Rata that they are his legal representative. So Ntanzi wants to know why this particular court did not ask him, because he would have told the court that he does not know this man. So Ntanzi asked, so why Hlapane court didn't do the same? Judge Rata's face was worried at this question. I was like, yes. Because it's court procedure, from magistrate to high court to even the constitutional court. Why not this one? Ntanzi said in that court, two men stood up in their court robes. Then Ntanzi asked, so then how would I have known which one is there to represent him and confirm him to the court? He asks. I say it again, investigate everybody. Investigate all the magistrates. Investigate all the interpreters. Investigate all the witnesses that have taken the stand, including Cronje. Investigate all of them. Something is not right here. Something ain't right. Now let's get to the evilness of Mjiako. This is when I realize, us of these people, we are so cruel towards each other without any feelings whatsoever. Because what Mjiako does to Ntanzi is unforgivable, in my opinion. This evil man comes to court, never once he ever consulted with Ntanzi, and tells the court that Ntanzi instructed him to abandon bail. Even if you are guilty, what person abandons their bail? Unless they think that if they apply for bail out there, those people that are busy toying and marching and baying for his blood, then for safety, I would also abandon it. But this is during Kororo. It's during Kororo. Secondly, Ntanzi had a job. He has 3 children. He has a grandmother that he needs to take care of. Why would he abandon bail? You know, when I heard that, my heart dropped. My heart dropped. Because I heard Ntanzi time and again saying that I do not know this man, who hired him, who pays him, who told him about me. Ntanzi says, never once Mjiako ever came to me at the police cells to consult and for me to instruct him to abandon bail. It's a lie. Ntanzi responded and told the court that that is not true, because he would have been happy to apply for bail so he goes back to work so that he can continue to financially support his children and his grandmother. At this point, I was choking my tears back for real. This man was robbed of his fundamental constitutional rights, which is freedom of liberty. For what? This constitutional right violation must not go unpunished by law. Ntanzi once again asked the court procedural question. So then I made a little note on the side because I was checking these court procedures. Once your lawyer says you abandon bail, Ntanzi said something very profound that the court should have then turned to him and asked him a question, which we're going to get to. So then I did a little note. I said, according to court procedure, once your lawyer has told the court that you wish to abandon bail, the bail application, the court should turn to you and then confirm to the court that this is exactly what you instructed your attorney. But in Ntanzi's case, that did not happen, and Ntanzi wants to know why. Strike two for this particular magistrate. Again, I say, investigate them all. Ntanzi's answer is not on the transcript. Why? And Sibanda is happy to continue to ask dumb questions on that transcript, which we later on learn that Sibanda omitted to read vital information that Ntanzi mentioned that were on that transcript. When he finally got the opportunity to address the court himself on his next appearance. So there are some things that are on the transcript that Sibanda deliberately left out when Ntanzi appeared the next time. Mjiako told the court that the reason why Ntanzi abandoned bail is because there were pending negotiations with the state. Ntanzi said, that's a lie. I ask again, how evil must you be to do something like this to another human being? Rob them of their liberty. Ntanzi continued to inquire about this Mjiako. Who is he? Who informed him of his arrest, court appearances, when his own family still didn't know almost a month that he was arrested? He still wants to know which family member that hired him on his behalf. Advocate Mnisi to the rescue once again, who challenged the state to reveal where did the state get the information that it was Ntanzi who hired Mjiako. Ntanzi, how did he contact Mjiako when his phone was taken away, I ask? Suppose that he had the phone on him. How does he know Mjiako? How would he have known that, okay, this is the right guy that is going to represent me? I say, Gininda did not think of this one well. It's an intellectual blunder or fumble. Nisi gets up once again to assist regarding the purpose of cross-examination, that it is not to kick the witness, but to assist the court to come to the right decision. Sibanda has been kicking Ntanzi the moment he started cross-examining him. Judge Rata did what Judge Rata does, couldn't give a rat's toe about the plight of the witness. Then the topic of 3 million rand came up, and once again Ntanzi responded as he always did. I don't know this man. And when he did come, but then remember he was also stopped from revealing what the conversation was at a cell between when Mjiako finally came to him and then said, you know what, this thing could all go away very quickly. Let's strike a deal with the state. And that's when the 3 million rand came up. So, of course, Ntanzi was told not to speak about that because that would be amounted to hearsay, and Mjiako is not there to basically defend himself. The matter was then postponed to the 5th of October 2020. On the 5th of October 2020, there was no appearance on both sides, Ntanzi and Mjiako. Then the matter moved to the 27th of October. There too, there were no appearances on both Mjiako and Ntanzi. I think this is where they said Ntanzi was sick. Then the next appearance was in Boksburg, reading Exhibit EE1. Again, Mjiako appeared on behalf of Ntanzi. Again, Mjiako comes up, Sibanda bringing him. Mjiako didn't even go to the Boksburg Magistrates Court to introduce himself. He told this one that he appeared at that he had introduced himself to the wrong magistrate. I don't think that is true. I think the magistrate already knew what was up. They were just doing this for formality, for the record. Then the matter of Mjiako withdrawing as attorney of record. Ntanzi makes it clear to this court, Rata's court, that it is not true that Mjiako withdrew himself. It was Ntanzi who chased him. Sibanda did not want to read the letter of withdrawal into this court record, but Judge Rata rightfully ordered Sibanda to read it because he does not want to be blamed. This judge, he will say. Guys, when I heard from that letter of withdrawal that Mjiako is a Vitsi, that broke my heart. That this man attended Oliver Schreiner School of Law at Wits University. What a shame. What a waste. My goodness. Sibanda closes his cross-examination by trying to make Ntanzi sound like a conspirator rather than a victim of Gininda and his ilk. I say it again. Investigate them all. Ntanzi responded by saying that he doesn't know. He further said if those police officers had asked him questions of things he knew, it would be a different story. He further told the court that not once since he's been arrested he ever met a police in uniform. It was always the same police officers that have been with him doing the things that they have done to him, and he never gotten an opportunity to tell a different officer of what he's been through or subjected. He was alone with no one to help him. That was the end of Sibanda's cross-examination. Thank goodness. What a waste of state's resources, I say. Mr. Ramasipili stood to re-examine Ntanzi on one question for today, as he bought time before adjournment for the day. Now, I made a little note about why I think that Ramasipili should not re-examine Ntanzi. But anyways, this is what I say. I wasn't ready. Okay, before that, I wasn't ready for what Ramasipili revealed to the court that was on Exhibit RR1, the transcript, about Ntanzi's request at the Boksburg Magistrates Court. Was it Boksburg? Appearance of the 22nd of January 2021. This is about Ntanzi chasing away Mjiako and his ilk as attorney on record. The court then turned to Ntanzi and asked him what did he intend to do now that is no longer represented by Mjiako. Ntanzi then responds to the magistrates that once he gets a state attorney, meaning legal aid, he wants them to assist him to open a case against Mjiako. Boom. Bombshell. So these are Ntanzi's reasons as to why he wants to open a case against Mjiako. Number one, he did not report to the court that he was tortured. 2, he lied that he was sent by my family. 3, he lied to the Rustenburg court that I was sick. 4, he never consulted with me, ever. And this pains me, says Ntanzi. 5, I still want to know exactly who sent him. I want him to point out this person so I can open a case against that person. So in other words, what he was saying that if it was my sister, or it was my grandmother, or it was my father, or anybody that I know in my family that had hired Mjiako, then he will open a case against his own blood. Ntanzi wanted to know who this person that instructed Mjiako to appear on his behalf on all his court appearances. Furthermore, who was this person that paid Mjiako? The court recordings were a bit scrambled, which made it difficult for Ntanzi to remember what he told the magistrate about his children. Ntanzi further said that in the Rustenburg court, he kept asking about the bullets found in his house. He wanted to see them because his children do come and visit him in Rustenburg. He further says, it amazes me that bullets were found in my house. Where were they from? I want to know. I also want to know who opened his house to the police for them to search his house without his permission. Mr. Ramasipili paused his re-examination until tomorrow. So now I made a little note as to why I think that Ramusipili should not re-examine Ntanzi. This is what I say. I personally feel that Ramusipili shouldn't re-examine Ntanzi because the state failed to state its case, or more like failed to rebut all Ntanzi's assertions about what happened to him. Right? They failed to rebut the assault. They failed to reveal the gold tooth, the 28 tattoo, the dreadlocks, the heart condition, mining accident, Mjiako, who hired him, Gininda, not present in places he denied ever being at. The list is endless. If you look at both Sibanda and Advocate Baloyi, they both have, let's hope for the best facial expression, that we tried our best. It is Judge Rata that I failed to read, but I think that he's going to do the right thing. Once heads of arguments have been submitted. So, to the defense, please guys, leave no stone unturned when you are going to argue. Please, your closing argument must be with a bang, because the state failed dismally. As for Gininda and them, the chickens are coming home to roast. To roost. Will the defense call more witnesses? I hope so. Mjiako, magistrates, all the magistrates, all of them. And the interpreters, all of them. Please understand. I want to hear something. I also hope that Mr. Ramusipili assists Ntanzi to open that criminal case that was never opened against Mjiako. And all police officers that assaulted him with iPad. Let's correct this wrong starting right now, before things got out of hand. Court was adjourned until tomorrow. So basically, guys, that is what transpired at the North Gauteng High Court today. I'm very upset that none of Ntanzi's cries were ever addressed, including opening a criminal case against Mjiako. But again, I don't know how to translate that into English. There is no statute of limitation when it comes to a criminal offense. I think that's the best I can put it. Other than that, guys, if you like the video, give it a like. If you didn't like the video, give it a like. Anyways, do subscribe to my YouTube channel and don't forget to click the bell notification so that you get notified every time I upload a new video. Thank you so much to everybody that's super thanking the channel. I appreciate you guys so very much for supporting the channel financially. I greatly appreciate you. May you be abundantly blessed. You guys know my prayer for y'all. You already know. I don't have to elaborate. And also thank you to everybody that are watching the ads. I pray the same prayer for you. When you watch the ads, you contribute also supporting the channel financially. I greatly appreciate you. If you're skipping the ads, let's meet at my meditation. I want to ask you something. Also, don't forget to leave me a comment down below and let me know what did you think about today's court proceedings and also the bombshells that were dropped towards the end. That was very interesting for me. Also, share this video far and wide. I will see you next time with a new video. Goodbye.